everybody, this is Chris, coming back at you again today with another video. And today I am going to be partaking in something a little bit different, something I talked about in my very last video, the full review of the Synapse 19. I am going to be comparing side by side both that Tom Bihn Synapse 19 bag that you see on the right, as well as the Tom Bihn Luminary bag, which I also reviewed several weeks ago, which is here on the left. As I hope you will see, these two bags have some very noticeable similarities as well as some big differences. So we are going to walk through those and talk through my thoughts on them. So because this is a review video, I feel like it's probably necessary to talk about a couple of the specs of the bags. First and foremost, the material. These are both the 525D ballistic nylon. These are both very well made, as you know from if you haven't listened to my reviews, I would encourage you to do that, but I'm very passionate about these Tom Bihn bags. They are very well made. As you can see, the stitching, kind of that pattern that you see there, is the same as you will find on the Synapse. So they're both, you know, what's important about 525 as opposed to the Halcyon or 1000D Cordura or whatever is the consistency. You know, these are both about the same in terms of how flexible it is, how much it'll move on you. Some people really like the 1000D because it's very strong, and other folks like to be able to have their bag not so stiff, which does wear down over time, but a 1000D bag when you first get it is really stiff, and packing things into the pockets can be a challenge. So that's just to say that these are both the exact same in terms of materials. Now, the Luminary is 15 inches tall by about 9.5 or 10 wide and 5.9 deep. So as you can see, it's a relatively small bag. It's a little bit tall as a comparison to some other 12-liter bags. That's the other thing. This is a 12-liter pack. It's a little bit tall, but it's thin and kind of narrow as well. So that is the Luminary. The Synapse, on the other hand, is 16 tall, so it's just an inch taller, but it's 11.5 wide, so it's 2.5 inches wider, and 7.9 deep, so it's a full 2 inches deeper. So this bag is quite a bit bigger at the 19 liters. And again, it's a 7-liter difference with regard to the capacity internally. And Tom Bihn does take a lot of pride in their literage. They talk about how there's an international standard or something that requires them to fill the bags with little tiny pellets, and that helps to measure the liters. So a lot of companies don't do that and just gauge liters based off of the dimensions, which can be a little misleading. In addition to that, these guys all have the same materials in terms of YKK, AquaGuard. I mean, all of the craftsmanship and quality that you would expect from a Tom Bihn bag, both of these have that. So right now, I have the Synapse 19 loaded out in the exact same EDC, give or take a couple small items that you saw just a couple days ago. This, I just have a few t-shirts stuffed in there to give it depth and to show you a little bit of the size. So I'm hoping you can see this. I'm going to try to maybe lay these down flat briefly and see if you can really get a chance to see the size difference. That might be a little bit better, and I'll bring it down this way. So again, I'm going to briefly walk through. I would encourage you to check both of the videos that I just did within the last several weeks on these bags, but I am going to walk through briefly the major differences. So as you can see, the Synapse is quite a bit bigger in terms of width and depth, not so much lengthwise. It's not much taller. So let's get into a couple of the differences. I mean, the biggest difference is this has more organization that works better, in my opinion. This bottom pocket is non-existent on the Luminary. The Luminary does have two side pockets that are similar. They are sort of in this continuous zipper, and I know this is hard to see here. This zipper that looks like it goes all the way around the bag, but really stops about halfway up. As you can see, this is as far as this zipper goes up, and then there is a rather small hand pocket right here. So this pocket, you know, really only goes to there, to the seam right here. So it's not more probably than 4.5 inches at the most. So that is that pocket, and then it goes from here. There's an O-ring right here and down to here. So it's, you know, it's probably 6 or 7 inches tall. I have found that I can get some things in there, but it's these pockets, unlike the Synapse, which one of my favorite things about the Synapse, and I talk about this at length in the review, is the dimension to the pockets, the depth they have. This is not necessarily built in a three-dimensional space. It's kind of like a slip pocket. And I suspect they did that because the internal space is so limited to begin with that it's hard to take away from that. So there's the identical pocket on this side of the bag, again with that zipper that's sort of unique. That looks like it goes all the way around, and I'll try to close it. I may not be able to do the rip method here real quick. There's a zipper that looks like it is continuous, but is really 3 separate compartments. So again, these are the 2 primary side pockets that sort of mirror these two, but these two, if you didn't see my last video, have a much greater amount of space and depth. I can put my fist in there no problem, and they're just infinitely more useful in my opinion. The other thing the Luminary does not have is a quick access pocket, which is this lower pocket here. The Luminary does have a solution for a water bottle, but it's not external to the bag. So this quick access, again, on the Synapse, is even probably bigger in space, cubic space, than the side pockets on the Luminary. So it's quite a bit bigger, and it's big enough to hold your keys. Probably not an iPhone Plus. It will hold my smaller iPhone, the SE, but it'll hold your keys, holds my wireless Bluetooth headphones, holds my chapstick, holds like toothpicks, you know, some change. All that fits in there comfortably without bulging out, you know, the bag, because it does have not three-dimensional space, but space. So the Luminary does not have that. The Luminary does have a water bottle pocket that is kind of carved out in the middle of the main compartment. It is not going to be visible on this video because I have these t-shirts in here. So it is an unzippable water bottle sleeve within the center piece. It kind of comes out in a V shape from here to the back, and it zips into the back. It's a mesh kind of sleeve, flexible mesh, and it helps to give the bag kind of 3 columns, if you will, kind of triangular shaped columns. So I actually like that feature. Even if I didn't have a bottle in there, I could put an umbrella in there. I could roll up a jacket, a small jacket, slide it in there, and then I sort of have my EDC just along these 2 columns in the outside pocket. One thing the Luminary does have that the Synapse does not have is a clear kind of document pocket. The only problem with this is it doesn't hold 8.5 by 11 well, so it's just a little bit too small for my taste at this point as a work bag. Now let me stress that. On the weekend, this thing is absolutely perfect if you're just doing a day around town. But this slip pocket is really good for like a moleskin notebook or a tablet, an iPad up to 10.5 inches probably. But it won't fit my 13-inch MacBook, which is one reason why for work I decided to go with the Synapse. So again, these 2 bags are both great. They're both well made. This bag, this is an important piece, the price. This bag is $120. This is $190. So take that for what it is. It's a $70 difference. This bag, let me flip them over. I wasn't going to show much about the straps, but I do think it's important if you can get the perspective. The Luminary, really, it says it's for men and women 5'10" and under. I am 5'5", 5'6", and I will say the straps felt a little bit funky on me. I believe, as you can see, the contour of this strap is much more pronounced than this contour, which is noticeable, but it's not quite as S-shaped. You know, this thing is almost an S curve from the top around like this. This is more of a very slight S, and up top it's almost coming straight off the top of the bag by comparison. I think this bag is more suited for a female frame. I mean, it just strikes me that way. I did wear this quite a bit. If I was doing long day hikes, I would use the attached sternum strap, which would help to kind of, because if not, these had a tendency to kind of buckle up on me just a smidge. But if I put the sternum strap on, it would flatten them on my shoulders, you know, kind of on the tops of my shoulders around here, and then it would come down. But I'm not a big guy, and this was pretty much, I wouldn't have wanted it any smaller. Like, it's fine. I would not have wanted it any smaller in terms of this kind of chassis. Now this, I was actually a little concerned that it might be, I'd read some things on the Tom Bihn site about the strap placement being tweaked up here over the years on the Synapse and how it's not great for smaller frame people, but I have found these straps to be perfect on my shoulders. I mean, they lay flat. It seems like a natural fit. The sternum strap is a little bit lower on my sternum as opposed to this bag, which was riding up, you know, around my collarbone area. So I just think even for a guy my size, which is not tall, the Synapse is a little bit more comfortable. So, and that your mileage is going to vary on that, obviously. The other thing, the Synapse has this mesh in the back, this breathable stuff. The Luminary does not. It's just a little bit of padding, but it's just the ballistic nylon all the way through. No other material there. And I think that's just because this is a 12-liter pack, and it's not going to get heavy necessarily. So let me do another little bottom shot. I feel like this may be giving you more perspective than anything else. This has this kind of curvature lumbar in the back. This bag does have the same kind of structure with this curved seam here. It's just not a separate piece of the material because there's not this breathable, which is not super breathable, but this kind of mesh material. So the hardware is all the same. Again, even the straps, the padding is the same, I think, even though this, I mean, this gets so thin at the bottom. It's just kind of interesting how they decided to do that as opposed to a more oval shape with just the strap there. So I'm rambling a little bit, but I wanted to do this because the Luminary is a pretty new bag. The Synapse is popular. A lot of people have the 25, and you can see comparisons on Tom's website comparing the Synapse 19 to the Synapse 25. You do not see many comparisons to these two bags. So I hope that this has been helpful. I would encourage anyone to buy either of these bags, considering your body type is a first and foremost consideration, and you know, price is a consideration, storage, what do you hold in your everyday carry is a consideration, and if there's any questions or anything else I can answer, please don't hesitate to comment below. But until next time, I will say thanks for visiting the Stuff That I Like channel. Do a like, do a share. See ya.